Thank you, Bex.
Thank you, Bex. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are in the world. We're going to start with some super exciting news, actually, for the day. So just a couple of hours ago, after a lot of work, we have just released our new non-commercial version. So this means you can explore, learn, create, play. So yeah, you guys can explore, play, just learn at your heart's content. And it is available at the following link, find.co.uk/nuke-non-commercial. So yes, there'll be a lot of things that we'll be showing today, and everything that you see, you'll pretty much be able to straight away go and have a play with. So today, we're going to be having a look at our new Nuke family, as of Nuke 9, which we introduced at the end of last year. So first up, we've added a brand new product to the range in the form of Nuke Studio, our VFX editorial and finishing solution. We've also added major updates to the commercial workflow in NUKE and NUKEX as well. So let's have a look at some of the highlights that we have in Nuke Studio just to begin with. So we have a timeline and compositing environment combined together. We have a full online editorial toolkit. We have in-timeline soft effects, making real-time changes on the fly. We have a full NUKEX compositing toolset, all available for you to use. We have unique collaborative controls, intelligent built-in rendering, Python core, so you can customize as much as you want. And last but not least, 4K real-time playback on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So onto the workflow enhancements that we've done across the range. We've done a lot of performance improvements, including EXR, DPXR, scanline render, to name a few. We have a new native flipbook panel. We've added more 2D format support, so MXF, Apple ProRes, to name a few. We've done an overflow. We've got a completely new Chronos node, improved vector-generated motion blur nodes, and a brand new planar tracker node. So today, we're going to be showing you a commercial that we'll be working on. I'm going to start off by doing a single-seat workflow in Nuke Studio, and then we're going to be on to showing you a collaborative workflow using Nuke Studio as the central hub and NUKEX as the satellite seat with an artist. We had a brief output on my microphone. So yes, also today, we're going to be showing you a couple of new features that we've been working on at the moment. They're really cool. They're not in Nuke 9 yet, but they will be coming up sometime a little bit later this year. So to start off, we have multiple overlay tracks and blending modes. On the timeline, we have enhanced audio editorial tools, burn-in soft effect, XML AF support for grades, nonlinear retimes, transforms, and cropping, and native support for stereo playback. So this is the Nando's advert that we'll be working on today.
Hurting me. Sorry, I'm nervous. She ordered the wing roulette. I hope you pick a hot one, Gregory. Wing roulette. What you gonna get?
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do this whole ad in a single seat client attend situation. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to do the online, make sure I have the edit exactly the same as if I was on the editing suite. Then I'm going to do the finishing and the compositing of it. So I'm going to comp all the shots and do the cleanups that my client wants to do. And then I'm going to finish it, put the audio, and export it out for the deliverables. Right? So let's do this in Nuke Studio straight away. So do we have screen? Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and import straight away an EDL, XML, or AAF to replicate my timeline. And this time I'm going to use an XML because it's a multi-track timeline very easily. So I'm going to go open, and I get straight away my multi-track. Now, the first thing that we see is one of the new features that we are going to add into Nuke 9, Nuke Studio 9. And it's the ability to bring your read times and your transforms and crops straight away with your XML or your AAF. So that's going to make my online way easier, because you know editors love doing all those extra time warps and stuff onto it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go and match my media first. Let's actually bring my high-res footage. So I'm going to go and say rushes, high-res, and go open. And these are my conform options. So on my conform options, what I have is you can do things like by file name or by partial file name or things like that, which are quite normal. You have include patterns or exclude patterns. And I'm just going to go OK in this time. And I will go find it. And this time I have 11 out of 13. which is not bad. We all know that EDLs are never perfect, so we'll see what actually didn't came in. Now, straight away I can see that my crop and my transform are working. I'm just looking at a piece of footage, which probably is just a picture-in-picture that I'll have a look in a moment of exactly what happened. So the first thing I want to do is bring my offline as well, so I can actually match it to what they did in the edit. So I'm going to go set reference media, and I'm going to find an offline. And in this case, actually a ProRes file. So this is also a new feature in NUKE Studio 9 that we receive ProRes files in Linux, Mac, and Windows without any problem. So there you are. I have my offline, and now I have it as a reference track at the bottom. To be able to compare in NUKE Studio, what I can do is just select a track and press 2, and that immediately gives me a wipe in there. So I can press play and start looking at what is going on. And we can see that that actually was a, I'm going to just play that back again. That's actually push in. So my transform information that is coming through the XML is not only the position, but it's actually the animation of it. So if in the case of a time warp, I'm going to show you this on the next clip. I actually can have my property, and it's a keyable one. So we all know editors love doing funky things with their edits and with the editorial. And we can see how now I have the different keyframes that the edit has done on the different ramps of time. So I can actually move between my keyframes. And you can see in the middle keyframe, my footage matches exactly the same. So now that's going to save me a lot of time doing this. So that is my first part to getting my online done. Now, what is offline? OK, the offline is a couple of artwork pieces that I'll show my client is going to give me in a moment. So let's actually make sure that my picture-in-picture is correct. So I'm going to come in back here, and I can see that what they did is they just crop a hand. And what they did is if I actually disable that track, I'm going to see that the previous shot is the rest is fine, but just replacing the hand. Now, this is the way I used to do it. And to be able to kind of match it, I'll have to create a comp and make sure that that is on the right place and is correct by doing a blending track. Now, what I can do is right-click on my track, and people have been waiting for this quite a bit, and it's enable track blending. That will use the alpha of that image and give me exactly the same as it was on the edit. So now I have my picture-in-picture perfectly fine. Let's compare that, and let's actually disable it again, and we can see how I'm using the crop to create the alpha of that, so I can have that there. Cool. So that is the first bit. So blending tracks, again, will be coming quite soon into NUKE 9. So now let's do, what am I missing? Right, I'm missing my artwork. So as always, clients come in with a little USB stick and going, hey, here's my new artwork. So what I'm going to do is just import that into my folder. So I'm going to say import folder, and I'm going to find the artwork that they brought in. So client extras, there you are. And I'm going to say OK. And now I have a little folder here with all the artwork. So the first thing is I noticed is they didn't bring the artwork already done. They just brought me little pieces of it, because they're going to change their minds for sure at one point, and I'll have to rebuild this in a different way. So what I'm going to do quite quickly is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to insert my footage into my timeline. So I'm going to do my editorial work, and simply by pressing M, I can insert my footage into there. So I have my background. Cool. Now I have a blending track, so I can add the logo straight away. So let's add the logo. So I'm just going to press M again, and oops, I have the wrong track selected, so let's do that again, and M, and now I have my logo. So I have my blending track happening there very easily. Now, did I say that we have blending tracks, but did I say it's multi-blending tracks, and as many as you actually want? So what you can do is just right-click, new track, new video blending track. So now I have another one, and I can bring the other part of the text or the logo and just insert it on it. So just go OK. And now I have 3 different blending tracks at the moment just working together. All this is obviously real-time playback. I can actually disable any of them, or I can just simply go and play and have that playing. Obviously, that's static at the moment. But if I actually compare it, I actually need to do a few things here, like changing the size of the logo. So I can go add a transform soft effect and match that logo to where it's supposed to go, more or less. I can even activate my title safe and action safe, so I know exactly where I'm supposed to do my stuff with my client, making sure that he's happy with it. So that is multi-track blending. So let's just move on. I think that's my edit done and matching of it. So the next step here is I'm quite organized, and I like to be organized in NUKE Studio. That's one of the things that it allows me to do. So I'm going to go and rename my shots, because I like to be working on shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4. So I'm going to go in editorial and rename shots, and I'm going to rename this with the name of this show, so N tab, so Nando's tab, then show, shot, and a padding number. And I'm going to go rename, and now I have my shots renamed properly. What is really cool about this is that this is all metadata inside NUKE Studio. So if I need to re-online this, because they did a change in the edit, my actual file still has the original camera name and everything, so I can just re-online it very, very quickly without any problem. So what I'm going to do now that I have that is, let's see what my client actually want me to do on the job. So it's quite simple. On the first shot, obviously I'll need to rotate the hand and make that properly, because that's just a crop, so I'll need to do that. Then if you look at the fingers, that's actually just pure, so actually they did it physically on the finger. But as it goes, they started tapping with it, and obviously they start destroying the finger. So I'll need to repair all that in the comp and do all the cleanup in the different shots as we actually move through the work. So to start with that, I'm going to move into compositing, and NUKE Studio has the full power of NUKEX, so all I need to do is right-click on a clip and go create comp. That creates a comp container for me. So that little clip there is actually a comp container. It's containing a NUKE script that I can just double-click, and I'll be on my node graph straight away to start compositing. So at the top, I have my shot, which we are working with a 2K footage, then reformatted to my actual timeline, which is HD. And at the bottom, I have my render already set up, exactly where I'm supposed to go with the right naming conventions for it. So let's actually do the comp. I'm a really fast comper. So what I have done is I actually have a few things already set up for me. So I'm going to go and say toolsets. If you haven't used toolsets before in NUKE Studio or in NUKE, it's absolutely amazing. So just shot, create clean plate, and now I have my clean plate here. So all I need is just to connect that to that and that to that, and I'll be able to just move in a frame so where we can see it properly. And just going to move out quite quickly so you can see how it is processing that image. And what we get is I just did a little cleanup of the glasses. So you can see that, how now I have my finger done. Now, that is exactly what my client wants. So what I'm going to do quite quickly is I want to see it playing back. My client wants to see it real time on the timeline. So I'm going to say no trouble. What I'm going to do is split this for a moment, move that there, and I have my node graph beside my timeline. And all I need to do is to save my script, and straight away it starts rendering that file. And what you can see is on the timeline I get frames. If I actually look at the frames that are rendered, I'll be able to see them. I'll go, and what I have up here is my frame server. What is going on is I have in the background NUKE renders that are rendering that shot very quickly. I can actually use it on the same machine, or I can use a second machine, or I can even use a render farm to output if I have something very heavy. So let's actually think that I have worked for a few hours. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go and open a project where I have already done my comps. Let's minimize that. And I have already done all my other shots, and I have done quite a good work with it. My client is happy with them. I can check that all my, like we can see that here, I have done everything, just making sure that it is the cleanup done. So you can see my glass is actually being clean. Cool. So now let's move into finishing. So my client goes and says, yep, what I want you to do is I want to grade some of those shots. I want to do a bit of grading here. So that's easy. I'm just simply going to go right-click, effects, and grade. And I start grading the shot, and I have my lift, gain, and gamma. Now, I have done a few of these ads already because it's a sequence of ads that they did with the fingers and so on. So I more or less know what the look that the client is actually looking for. And that brings us to another new feature in NUKE 9, and is the presets. I can go presets, End tab, grading, finger, and if I press that, I get the look that I had already saved from one of the other ads, and it applies. I can ask my client, do you like it? Yes, he's happy with it. Go, okay, cool, I'm going to apply it to the other shots. It's a client. I'm sure he's going to change his mind. So what I'm going to do is use another one of the new features, which is the copy as clone. So I'm going to select that clip. I'm going to go edit, copy as clone, and I'm going to paste it onto all my other shots that I have on the same thing, and I'm going to go Control-V, and that pastes as a clone. So all my other shots have actually the same grade. Now, clearly, my client is going to go, no, you know, I actually want it cooler, or I want it in a different color. And you go, OK, that's fine. No trouble. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. Let's actually make it cooler this time. And because it is a clone, all my other shots have actually changed. So I just save a bunch of time, and I didn't have to actually go and copy and repaste that grade and repaste this grade here, there, again and again and again. So cool. I'm happy with the grading. My show is more or less done. The other thing that we have done in all these ads is actually add some legals, which we always have to do. And go and add the legals, and I know it's on the last two shots, and I'll be having to type 100 times on every time that we add one of those, the new legals. Well, again, because we have presets, what I can do is add a video track here, and I'm going to add an effect, a text effect, as a track item. So now it's going to affect everything below. And instead of typing 100 times what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to go presets, tabs, and I have the legals already for that. And not only will remember the settings, but it will remember the text. So I don't have to type again and again and again those legals that I have to do in every single ad. So, and again, this is all real time on the timeline, like real time playback. So that is cool. So with that, I'm almost done. I think my client is quite happy. He's going to go, OK, all I want now is to see it, but I want to see it with the audio. I go, no trouble. You pass me the audio. It came from the edit suite, and I'm just going to go find my audio. There you are. That's my audio, and I'm going to go into my audio tracks down here. I'm just going to add that audio here. There you are. And the first thing you're going to see, and you have been asking us for this for quite a while, and it's finally there. You now have the waveform on the timeline, and so that is really cool. So one of the major things about it is we can actually do, when we do playback, you'll be able to hear the tap, tap, tap. So if I have any animation that has to be matched to that sound, I can do it very, very easily because I have my timeline there, my waveform that I can actually check, and you can zoom in as much as you want, and you'll be able to see all the stuff. So the client is quite happy. He goes, yeah, that's cool, but you know, that fade in at the beginning of the audio is not great. I wanted it a little bit kind of even smaller and come up. And it's the moment that you go, you're on the finishing side. You should have done that on the audio sound. Why didn't you make that choice? But all right, you are finishing this. It has to go out today, so no time to go back. So what I'm going to do is select my audio, right-click, editorial, add transitions, and now we have add fade in and fade outs to my sound as well. So add my fade in, and something that I really like about this is if you select it, it actually selects. If it is a stereo track, you will select both, and you'll be able to edit it in both cases. If it decides to. There you go. And it will move the stereo at the same time without having to select both and do the whole thing. So now it's already there, and again, all full real time on
Ouch,
playback.
you're hurting me.
So there you are. That's my ad, and I have worked for a few hours on this or the whole day, and I'm done. Now I just need to deliverable, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select my timeline and go export. And this is the backbone of NUKE Studio. The export structure is what allows me to create presets to create my files automatically with the naming conventions without having to type 100 times what's the name of the show, which shot I'm doing, what's going on there. So what I can do is I can actually go, in the case of shots, I can have the different shots with the scripts and what is going on around. Now, when I'm exporting the sequence, I can have, I know, you know, I always export a ProRes, and then I export a QuickTime for the directory in H264 and a load res for someone else, and all these deliverables, I can actually have that as a preset that will take the names straight away. So if I go, for example, to my ProRes 444, it will always take the name of the sequence and the version of that sequence. So I know exactly what I'm exporting, and I can create this by my own. So let's say I exported it. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the export. It's actually quite quick, but I'm just not having too much time today. So the job was done, deliverable to my client. He leaves. I actually moved to a new project, right? And this is me finishing the whole job as a single user with my client attend. Now, I move into a new project. A couple days later, client comes back, as always, right? And goes, I actually need you to do some stuff on the shots, but I'm working on another project, so I don't have the time. Well, what I can do is, because Nuke Studio is collaborative from the beginning and is open, all my comps actually exist on disk. So I can ask my compositors to actually jump into the shots, do the changes, and deliver them straight away to me for me to finish with my client later. So what I'm going to do is quite simple. I'm going to say to my client, come into a room for 20 minutes. Let's make annotations. I'll make my artist to work on it and then deliver it to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go with my client. I'm going to go to the shot, say, OK, what do you want? So I'm going to go annotations. And I can do two types of annotations. I could do it on clip level, which is brilliant when you're reviewing versions and stuff. So you can add an annotation to version 1. When you swap to version 2, you don't see that annotation, but you can compare it. Or you can do it on sequence level, like this case, because I want to actually see it in context of the whole show. And I'm going to go and say, I'm going to create one, and I'm going to type here. And what my client actually wants is to add some reflections into the specs, onto the glasses. So I'm going to say, add reflections into the specs. Cool. So now that I have done that, I can see here on my timeline, I have a little marker. That is my annotation. And I could go into all the shots, for example, come here, and actually I can draw as well. So I can come in and say, hey, just do that, and I don't know, type something else. Clean the finger, right? So I can do something like that. Whoops, that's always a little bit of misspell there. And that is good for me. What I can do now is simply select my shots, right-click, and export, and I can export those annotations. And that's going to get delivered to my artist. Because all these files, all these comp containers are on file. I can actually go, let me show you. If I go open in File Browser, I get my file browser, and here are my comps already done, where I exported them and have them ready for my artist to do. So in this case, my artist is going to be Sean, and he's going to show you how he's going to finish the shot and then deliver it to me.
Thank you very much, Juan. OK, so as the artist on this side, I'm going to be working in NUKEX, and I'm going to use the same export structure to go and grab. Sorry, I need the screen. I'm going to use the export structure to go and grab the file that Juan has given to me and get started. So what I've done is that I'm going to look at the pre-comp node that comes in with the annotations. And inside, we've got a nice annotations tab, which has two things. It has keyframes, so every annotation that Juan has added on the timeline, I can step between them easily using these options on the left-hand, on the right-hand side, which for this particular case, I'm going to jump to the keyframe. And there I have add reflection to the specs. So without having to fiddle around to try and actually find the frames that have the annotations on them, I can quickly and easily navigate through them. I'm an inquisitive compositor, though, and I'm actually quite fast. So I've actually done the comp already, but I'm going to walk you through the rest of the process that I went through. I wanted to know what Juan had actually done on the comp before. So I quickly just went up, and he had documented everything quite nicely. But I saw this case that he had actually done a bit of a retime on the finger. So the nice thing is that he's used our new Chronos node in Nuke 9. And with this, we've added a new motion estimation algorithm, which it vastly improves the vectors, and it gives us much smoother warps and much more consistency between the frames, so there's much less popping. In this particular example, the finger's not moving that much, so I can't really give you the best example of popping. But we have an old example from Tron, which in the old Chronos node, it failed really, really badly. There was a lot of bubbling, a lot of popping through and through. And to show this, I'm going to use another Nuke 9 feature, which is our new native flipbook panel. And I've already gone and flipbooked this. So if I play back, you can see that on the right-hand side is the old Kronos node and its algorithm. So there's a lot of bubbling, a lot of popping. It's not a really good retime at all. And on the left-hand side is the new Kronos node. So a much more smooth transition between frames and generally much better quality overall. So now that I'm sort of comfortable with having known what Juan has done with the script, I'm going to go down and look at what I have to do for the day, which is adding reflections into the glasses. So for this, I'm going to use the new planar tracker node that we have. So the old planar tracker node had a feature-based tracking algorithm, and the new one now has a region-based tracking algorithm. So you can do a much better track across a much larger variety of shots. And in this particular case, I've gone and used the purple area to track the finger as it moves around, and then I've added the little rotor shapes inside for the glasses. I've then gone and used the alpha of these guys to combine with the image of the face, who is sitting across the way from the finger, and comp that back over the glasses. So I now have my reflection nice and in there, super quick, and it's sticking really nice and stable with the planar track. So I'm quite happy with that, and because this is all in the export structure which Juan has already created, I don't have to do anything about worrying about rights or where to put anything. All I have to do in this case is go File, Save New Comp Version, and what this will do is that it will up the version of the script and the version of the right node in sync with each other, and automatically send that back to Juan so that he can review it in the context of the timeline with the rest of his shots. So I'm going to kick the render off, and over to you, Juan.
Thank you. So again, now I'm back again on my suite. Client comes back in at the end of the day, and he wants to see what was done and finish the job. So I go, no trouble. My guys were working quite hard this morning to get you this. So I can select all my shots, and what I can do is right-click and go into versions, and I can either scan for the new versions that are there, or I can simply go and say max version. In this case, I know that it will be the last version of every single shot. That is the one that I actually need. So I'm going to go version, max version, and that's going to go into all the shots and bring it straight away all my version of that, because I know exactly the naming conventions of that and everything. I know that that's my last version. If I actually press V, now I can see that I have version 3 from Sean, version 2 from me, and I can compare them and know exactly what was going on between the two. So that allows me to see, there you are, that's my reflection. I can see the annotation. Yes, that's good. So the client is happy. I can hide my annotations if not. Let's actually stop my annotations. I don't want them. Cool. So I have now my reflections in all my different shots, add them, and everything is good. Now, again, clients always want, they cannot live without a change, right? And they go, you know, actually, I really like it, but I want to change a little bit the reflection, and it looks too bright, or can you bring it down, or do a little bit something on it? Well, because again, I'm connected to the same files, I'm doing the same thing between them and I can just double-click that, and I'll be, let's say yes, because that was his latest build, and I'm on his comp, exactly the same as he did it and how he fixed it, and I can access the whole thing. I can actually just double-click that merge. Let's actually have a look at that, and I can go have a look. Oh, you want it a little bit less? Sure. How much less? That much? That, or actually more? No, no, a little bit less. Cool. That's how much you want it. No trouble. I'm sure he's going to change his mind again. So I'm just going to save that as a new version. I'm going to go save new comp version. And now when I come into the timeline, all I have to do is press Alt up, and I'll bring that new version and fire my render for the shot. So that'll go, render the shot, and I'll be done and dusted with the job. So all the reflections managed to do a full collaborative workflow between my artist and myself without any struggles. All the files came in because they were already there. Then I did all my job at the beginning, online it, then do all the basic comps, finish it. I did my grading, put my legals, put my audio, and again, now the client is happy. All I need to do is go to File and export that to whatever deliverable I need to. So I think that is what we just did on the show. Thank you. And
excellent.
Yeah. So I'm over to Sean.
Next slide, please. So we'd just like to say a massive thank you to 1920 and Ludo, Chris, Sally, and Kurt for giving us all the material for the show today.
Thank you.
Which is great. Thank you, guys. And that's it. That's our Nuke 9 family as it currently stands, with a couple of little sneak peeks at some upcoming things this year. So whether you're a single-shot compositor or working in a collaborative project from end to end, the advanced tool sets that we have in NUKEX and NUKE Studio will allow you to get the job done faster, more efficiently, and to the highest standard of quality. So thank you, everyone.
That was a fantastic presentation, guys. Thank you very much. I have some questions. Can I ask you guys some questions?
Yep, sure.
All right, I just did. I asked one. How many do I get?
3.
First of all, I understand that this is the first time we've actually done hardware certification, correct?
Yes.
So the machine that we're using here today is obviously from our good partners at HP and NVIDIA. Can you tell us a little bit about the hardware we're using and the certification process, what's been certified for NUKE Studio?
Yep, so we've certified across the range, so Mac, Windows, and Linux, and we have everything in terms of specs available in our user guide if you want to find out anything. We have, how do you say, we spent a really long time making sure that we got the best quality out of the hardware that we could. And yes, if you go by the specs that you have, that you should have 4K real-time playback out the box, especially if you're client to 10s, and be good to go with that.
Now, I know that from my experience in watching you guys demo around the world, that it scales very well across a lot of different hardware. But I think the HPC team, and this is something that's, I think, pretty special to the NUKE product, is that it has, we've got an HPC team, which is your high-performance compute team. You've got an R&D team. So a lot of the things you see here, there's the core NUKE team, and there's 2 other groups that are providing amazing technologies. Can you talk a little bit about how NUKE scales kind of from laptop all the way up to power system, leveraging multiple CPUs, GPUs, and everything else?
Yep, so the nice thing about the NUKE range is that you really aren't locked to having to have a specific type of set of hardware. So you can go on set and use a laptop if you would like, and then if you want to actually get something more powerful, some more powerful GPUs, like we have in our set standards, you can really take advantage of everything that we have on board to get the fastest performance out of it.
So I have a question also for you guys as compositors, as NUKE users. Obviously, non-commercial NUKE is a huge announcement. It basically, free the NUKE, right?
Yep.
What would this have meant to you early in your career if you had had access to NUKE, like as a student?
Why not let you take this
I
one?
think it's everything. I think as an artist, you know, most of us grew up in the times with getting access to these tools. It was only if you went to an office and you were running and you were able to actually get access to it. Being able to be at home and play with it every day, I cannot imagine what kids are going to be doing with this in the next 5 years as they come up into being a 25-year-old coming out of uni after 5 or 6 years of working with NUKE. That's going to be awesome. That will change the way that we're going to actually deliver content completely.
Yeah. I mean, the hardware we have access to today, the cameras we have in our phones, it's unbelievable. So being able to have this piece of kit at home,
it's awesome.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's nerd out a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about, I want to ask you a little bit about the resolution you were working on, because everything seemed very, very fast. What was were you guys cheating? Were you using a really low resolution project there?
No, everything was DPXs. That was actually a 2K plates in every single one. And the timeline is actually HD, and we were just playing it full-time, no trouble. So all 2K work straight away to do the comps.
And every single time I watch a NUKE demo, I see something I hadn't seen before. I learned something that I didn't know before, and it means to me that this product is massively deep, massively wide. It can do so much. So non-commercial free NUKE is amazing, but it also, I imagine, is a little intimidating. Where can you recommend people go to get information, to learn? What would you do?
We have a really wide array of information. So on a website, we have videos, we have instruction content for everything. Also within the application, we have help documentation. It's available right through the nodes. So if you're in the application, you press the question mark on the control panel, it'll take you straight to the information in the website for that particular node. As well as that, we also have other varied partners out there who have a lot of tutorial courses running online. And yeah. It's available everywhere, basically.
Opportunity for me to give a shout out to our other partner, Digital Tutors, so make sure you check them out. There's a great opportunity there. Okay, so you guys did some, you did a little bit of NUKE Ninja work in advance. So now I'm going to ask you to give me a little bit more, because there was the whole, okay, now I'm going to clean up the glasses, and then the glasses were just magically cleaned up. What did you do? It looked amazing after, but what was the process?
What did I do? It was quite simple, actually. Obviously, with the roto-paint tools in NUKE, which are awesome to do cleanups, and you can clone and reveal from different frames and things like that, so I was able to clean it very quickly. And then using the planet tracker, then you can actually just match everything on the movement for everything very, very quickly, and you can actually link all the stuff. So if there is any problems with the tracking, you just change one tracker, and it changed the whole of the shot. So it's brilliant. So that was what I did, literally. It wasn't... That's literally what...
You didn't spend like 7 days cleaning that up?
No, literally, this is a job that you could actually have done in a day, in the whole thing, just cleaning up and doing things. So I tried to do this job as much as actually the guys at 1920 did it. I approached it exactly as if I had my client behind me, and I approached it through the whole day, doing the whole thing, to make sure that it was as real as possible.
Cool. And, you know, I love nodes. I love layers. We give the people what they want. They have both. This was a major addition to Nuke. Has it been a year ago now, or a little more than a year ago since we've done the integration of layers?
Just at the end of last year.
Just the end of last year. So okay.
Yeah.
So I had early access. That's why I'm ahead of schedule. So now that we have both workflows, do you find that the hardcore node users, are they using the layers themselves, or are there different users in a facility that I want to go with the layers, I want to go with the nodes, or are they cross-pollinating?
Well, I'll say it's both. I think the hardcore guys suddenly went up and went, oh, I have my timeline, and now I don't have to do a comp to add a logo, or to do this little bit, which I know then normally the soup or the lead is going to ask me to change. But because it's on the timeline already, he doesn't have to come back to me. It's there. So it is that type of stuff that makes it very, very handy. It's between, yes, the supervisor and the lead that is using the NUKE Studio very quickly, but also kind of the normal comper going, you know, why am I going to do this here if I can just put a layer, it's blended, it's there, show it to the client, render it, it's out. So it gives that flexibility to both sides of the story. Really.
Yeah, the upcoming feature that we showed earlier, so the multi-blend tracks available on the timeline, I think that really will open up a lot of workflows to people that they haven't used currently in NUKE Studio. So we're going to hope and try and get that in as soon as we can for everyone to get their paws on and really utilize it to a full extent.
Cool. So you also, we kind of touched lightly on some of the collaboration and having, because I think in some facilities there are very different mindsets and very different processes. Having it all integrated into one system, using the same file formats. Can you talk a little more deeply about that collaboration process between the different workflows?
So I think the brilliant part here is that you're never enclosed, right? So it doesn't matter if I started as a single user or if I started with the whole pipeline build, the files are always there. So you can be alone, working alone, and then suddenly, oh, I need help. Oh yeah, the files are there. I can move around. So for the big core pipeline people, they just design it, and it's there. For the people that actually is not used to it, they just start working, and they already have a pipeline behind them that they didn't know about it, that now they can collaborate straight away. So I think that's kind of the really cool side to it. You get that fast, just pipeline straight out of the box without thinking, really.
So there's, it makes my mind hurt when I see the retiming and all the incredible technologies and the power of the engines. And again, I know the core Nuke development team is just constantly grinding, the HPC team, the R&D team, John Stark's team. But then I see things like you add the comp layer, and automatically your node graph is nicely organized, and it's all preset and set up for you. So two things. First of all, kudos for paying attention to those little things,
Thank you.
The workflows that make it a joy to work with. But also, are those little presets, are those customizable? Can studios, if they have their own kind of setup?
Studios can do whatever they'd like with the presets. So it's, as Juan showed, you can essentially set up a node as many as you need, and you can pull them. You can also organize them across shows so that particular shots on particular shows will only have access to certain presets. So you can really organize in a way that your artists only have the things that they need when they need them, and there's no confusion. But it's very versatile and very quick to get things done.
And then I guess there's also the gizmo component, which is enabling people to create kind of almost visual programming, right? They
Yes, very so.
kind of create. Can you tell us a little bit about a gizmo
Yes,
for
the
those who
gizmos
don't know?
are great. It's essentially a group of nodes that you encapsulate, and you can expose certain controls. So if you don't want artists to have to bother about dealing in particular aspects of a node, you can just say expose the blur or expose the transform size, and they know that they can just play with those two aspects of it and tweak it to their heart's content in that regard, but not actually mess up other aspects of the comp that you might not want them to have touched. So it's good. It allows people to create their own tools, share it with other people very easily. It's text, and you can copy and paste in an email we want, put it up on a server for everyone to share in the facility. But yeah, it just makes life super simple.
Well, that's a fantastic product, fantastic presentation, and now for all of you at home, all of yous at home who are fired up, you just watched this demo, you're intrigued, you're excited, and now you can literally go download it, install it,
yes,
and
play.
do this magic for yourselves.
And play, yes, it's awesome. Okay, we're going to take,
Thank
thank you boys, round of applause for the boys.
I can hear the internet applauding.